5 payroll mistakes that destroy business growth. I know what you're thinking. David, payroll is just basic mathematics. Well, that's exactly the thinking that's destroyed more businesses than I can count. Let me tell you about a brilliant entrepreneur, amazing product, growing fast. And she was consistently paying her team 2 days late because she was doing payroll manually every month. She lost her best salesperson to a competitor who paid on time. And that one simple payroll issue cost her 6 months of growth. Or there's another, a solo consultant. He thought he only needed to worry about his national insurance contributions and missed 3 regulatory changes. The compliance audit nearly shut him down. These aren't isolated cases. 43% of businesses face penalties due to payroll errors. Not big corporations, but everyday businesses just like yours and mine. Now, I learned this the hard way. When I started my telephone business generating leads for Lloyds Bank, I thought payroll was just about cutting checks on time. Wrong. Dead wrong. I spent 2 years at Xerox doing door-to-door sales. I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken while studying electronics during the day. I've been the employee worried about getting paid, and I've been the business owner trying to figure out how to pay people correctly. After pioneering SEO for companies like Disney and Sony, then moving into business consulting and cybersecurity training, I've seen this pattern repeat itself. Smart business leaders make dumb payroll mistakes. I've made them. Here's what no one tells you about payroll mistakes. They don't just cost you money once, they cost you twice. First, in the immediate penalties and fixes. Second, in lost growth opportunity. Because every hour you spend fixing payroll errors is an hour you're not spending growing your business. Every employee who loses trust because you haven't paid them on time or properly, because they've got payroll problems, becomes a retention risk. Every compliance issue creates stress that steals your focus from what matters most. Anyway, here's the good news. After working with thousands of business owners, I've identified exactly 5 mistakes that cause 90% of these problems. Fix these 5 and you transform payroll from a business killer into a growth engine. Warren Buffett said, it's only when the tide goes out that you discover who's been swimming naked. Poor payroll practices are like swimming naked. Everything looks fine until the compliance tide goes out. So let's make sure that you're fully clothed when that happens. Mistake number 1, manual calculation madness. Look, I get it. You started small, maybe just you, maybe you and a partner. Calculating payroll by hand seemed acceptable, reasonable. But manual calculations are like performing surgery with a butter knife. Technically possible, but unnecessarily dangerous. One wrong decimal point, one missed overtime calculation, and suddenly you're not just fixing the numbers, you're rebuilding employee trust. And trust me, that's a lot harder than fixing a spreadsheet. The businesses that scale, they automate from day one. They treat payroll software not as an expense, but as growth insurance. Mistake number 2. Compliance blind spots. Tax regulations change faster than fashion trends, and ignorance isn't a valid legal defense. I've watched businesses literally shut down because compliance surprises drained their cash reserves faster than they could recover. The self-employed entrepreneur thinks they only need to worry about national insurance. The growing companies assumes their current approach will work forever. Both are wrong. Staying ahead of compliance changes isn't paranoia, it's survival insurance. Mistake number 3, poor record keeping. Disorganized payroll records are like trying to navigate with a map drawn in disappearing ink. Without systematic records, every payroll decision becomes a guessing game. Which employee got what bonus when? How much overtime last quarter? You can't plan staffing costs or evaluate employee value without clean historical data. Poor records don't just create audit nightmares. They eliminate your ability to make informed growth decisions. Mistake number 4, inconsistent payment timing. Late payments signal cash flow problems, even when they're just administrative oversights. Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Unreliable payroll makes people feel uncertain about their future with your business. That uncertainty spreads faster than a virus. Consistent payroll timing becomes a trust-building tool that reinforces your leadership credibility. Mistake number 5, ignoring payroll analytics. This is the big one most people miss entirely. Your payroll data reveals productivity patterns, seasonal trends, growth cost projections. Which roles generate the highest return on investment? When do overtime costs spike? How do compensation changes affect retention? I've helped business discover insights buried in their payroll data that completely redirected their hiring strategies and identified profit opportunities they never saw beforehand. Treating payroll as pure expense rather than business intelligence is like driving blindfolded. Look, I've been where you are. Whether you're self-employed worrying about national insurance or running a team of 50, these 5 mistakes will kill your growth if you let them. But here's the beautiful thing. They're all fixable. And when you fix them, payroll stops being a problem and starts becoming a competitive advantage. Don't let payroll mistakes be what stops your business from reaching its potential. You've worked too hard to let something this fixable hold you back. One quick note. Everything I've shared comes from my personal experience working with thousands of business owners over 4 decades. Your situation is unique. Please consult with a qualified accountant, payroll specialist, or legal professional for advice specific to your business. Don't rely solely on what I've shared here for making important business decisions. Just see me as someone who's pointed you in a direction for you to investigate. I'm David White. Fix these 5 mistakes and watch what happens to your business growth. You'll thank me later.